The morning light filters through the curtain. A soft glow touches the quiet room. Eleanor sits by the window, her cup of tea warm in her hands. She watches the slow movement of the world outside. The trees sway gently, the sky turns from gray to gold. She rolls her shoulders once, and a small stiffness greets her. It has been there for years, a quiet reminder of time. She smiles not with regret, but with understanding. Her body has carried her through 6 decades of life. Each line on her skin tells a story of laughter and care. But her shoulders, her upper back, they feel heavy today. The weight of years, of quiet mornings, of forgotten movement. She breathes in deeply, feeling the air expand her chest. The breath feels like a soft promise of ease. Today she decides she will move differently. No rush, no force, just gentle intention. Because healing, she has learned, begins with listening. And the body always whispers before it cries. The music of her breath begins the day's rhythm. And somewhere between stillness and stretch, a new freedom waits. Eleanor stands slowly from her chair. Her knees whisper, her shoulders hum with a quiet ache. Outside, the sunlight reaches through the window, warm and forgiving. She takes a slow breath, letting the air settle inside her chest. For years, mornings like this have felt the same. A cup of tea, a long sigh, and the familiar tightness across her back. It began after she stopped working, when days became softer and still. The body, once busy with motion, had learned to rest too deeply. But rest, she realized, can also turn into stillness that binds. She missed the way she once moved with ease, the way her arms lifted freely. Now, even hanging clothes or reaching a shelf feels like a small mountain. Her doctor called it stiffness, the natural language of aging muscles. But Eleanor knows it's more than that. It's the quiet story of years carrying the weight of care. Lifting groceries, grandchildren, memories, and sometimes worry. Her shoulders had become the storage place of every small burden. And yet they never complained, only tightened day by day. This morning she feels it again, that gentle pull between her shoulder blades. Not sharp, not cruel, just heavy. She sets her cup down and lets her hands rest on her knees. Her fingers tremble slightly, but her heart feels clear. She remembers a saying her mother once told her. When your body feels heavy, it's just asking to be noticed. So she listens. The sound of her breath fills the quiet room. The rhythm is slow, uneven but real. Each inhale draws in warmth, each exhale lets something go. She can almost feel the years unwinding with every breath. Outside, a bird lands on the window ledge, curious and still. Eleanor smiles at the small visitor. Life, she thinks, keeps reminding us to move even gently. She remembers walking with her husband long ago, their arms brushing softly. He would always tell her to keep her shoulders back, to stand tall. Posture is confidence, he used to say, laughing. Now she says it to herself, in the silence of her own home. Her reflection in the window shows a woman both fragile and strong. She straightens a little, as if hearing his voice again. The stiffness doesn't disappear, but it loosens just slightly. And that small change feels like a beginning. She realizes that healing won't come in a rush. It will come in whispers, in moments like this. Moments where she pauses and listens, not to pain but to presence. Her body, though slower now, still knows how to move. It only needs her permission to start again. So she decides. Today will be different. She will not wait for comfort to come. She will create it, one slow breath at a time. Her shoulders, her back, her heart, they will all learn to soften. And as the morning light grows brighter, she feels something gentle awaken. Not youth, not energy, but ease. A quiet return to herself, through the art of slow movement. The day grows softer as Eleanor begins to move. She feels the quiet weight in her upper back like an old friend. It is not painful, just present, always reminding her of the years. She wonders how something so small can feel so heavy. Her doctor once explained it simply. The muscles weaken, the joints stiffen, the posture changes. But those words never captured the feeling itself. It isn't just about muscles and bones. It's about time, habits, and the way we stop noticing our own bodies. Eleanor thinks about how long she spent sitting by this same window. Reading, knitting, writing small notes to friends who live far away. Her hands stay busy, but her shoulders hardly move. Each day adds a thread of stillness to her posture. And now that stillness has become a part of her shape. She laughs quietly at the thought. Even silence, she thinks, can be heavy if we hold it too long. She lifts her hand to her shoulder, pressing gently. The muscle feels firm, almost like stone beneath her skin. She remembers when it used to feel alive, warm and strong. Age has a way of teaching patience, she muses. But it also asks for a different kind of attention. The kind that listens instead of fixes. Eleanor closes her eyes and imagines her upper back as a map. Each tight spot is a place she has traveled before. Long hours at her sewing machine. Nights spent holding a crying baby. Days bent over her garden, pulling weeds in the sun. Her body remembers every detail. The stiffness, she realizes, isn't punishment. It's memory, written into the muscles that carried her through it all. The more she understands it, the less she fears it. Maybe her body isn't resisting her. Maybe it's just asking to be moved again. She straightens slowly, aligning her spine like stacking stones. Her shoulders pull back slightly, and she feels a stretch down her arms. A breath leaves her lungs, long and calm. There is space again, small but real. She thinks of the doctor's other advice. Move a little every day. It doesn't have to be much. She had nodded then, not realizing how much a little could mean. Now she feels it in her bones. Movement is not about youth. It is about kindness. Kindness to the body that never stopped working, even when she forgot to thank it. She places a hand on her chest and feels the slow beat of her heart. Every thump is steady, forgiving, alive. The tightness begins to shift, not gone but gentler. Like a door opening, just enough for light to enter. Eleanor smiles again, a quiet smile meant for herself. Understanding, she thinks, is the first stretch. And with that thought she breathes deeper, softer, freer. Her body, at last, begins to remember what it means to move. The room is quiet now, filled only with the hum of morning light. Eleanor stands near the window, her hands resting softly on the table. She knows it's time to begin, not with movement but with breath. Her teacher once said, "Breath is the bridge between body and soul." She never truly understood it until her body began to slow down. Now she feels how breath can reach where hands cannot. She closes her eyes and lets the air flow in through her nose. It fills her chest gently, lifting her ribs, expanding her back. Then she exhales through her mouth, long and calm. The air leaves like a sigh, carrying away the morning heaviness. She repeats it again, slow and mindful, as if painting calm inside her. Each inhale feels like a soft wave rising. Each exhale feels like a tide retreating, leaving peace behind. Her shoulders begin to drop, not by force but by invitation. The tension loosens, melting like snow under sunlight. She feels warmth spread across her upper back, a quiet awakening. For the first time in days, she senses her breath reaching her spine. She places a hand over her heart, another on her belly. They rise and fall together, like old friends finding rhythm again. She whispers to herself, "Slow is enough." The air around her feels lighter, her body a little more open. She realizes how often she used to hold her breath without knowing. during moments of worry, during long hours of silence. The body remembers every unspoken thought, every held breath. And now, with each slow inhale, she lets those moments go. The stiffness in her shoulders softens further, like a knot untying itself. She doesn't rush it, she simply allows it to unfold. Outside, the wind moves gently through the trees, steady and smooth. She imagines her breath doing the same, moving through her body's branches. Every breath feeding the small spaces that have been forgotten. Her spine feels taller, her chest feels broader. Even her fingers seem to tingle with quiet life. She thinks of all the mornings she hurried through. Coffee, chores, phone calls, all without truly breathing. But now she understands the power of pausing. Breath is the beginning of every change, every healing. It tells the body, you are safe, you can release. She opens her eyes, the room still glowing with soft light. Her reflection in the window looks calmer, more present. She doesn't look younger, but she looks alive in a new way. She smiles and whispers, thank you, though she isn't sure to whom. Maybe to her breath, maybe to her body, or maybe to this small moment that feels like renewal. One more inhale, one more slow exhale. The stiffness isn't gone, but it no longer feels like a cage. It feels like something she can move with, breathe with, live with. And that, she thinks, is more than enough for today. Eleanor opens her eyes and feels the stillness around her. The air is calm, but something inside her has begun to shift. Her breath has softened the walls of tension that held her still. Now her shoulders feel ready to move, just a little. She remembers the movement her therapist once showed her. A slow shoulder roll, gentle as a wave returning to shore. She smiles faintly and begins to lift her shoulders toward her ears. The motion is small, yet it feels like a great beginning. For a moment the muscles resist, tight and uncertain. Then as she exhales, they release, sliding back and down. A long, quiet breath follows, and warmth flows through her arms. She repeats the movement, slower this time, smoother. Her bones creak softly, like old doors opening after years. But instead of pain, there's something else, relief. She feels blood moving, life returning to forgotten corners. Each circle her shoulders make draws away a piece of stiffness. It's not about perfection, she thinks, it's about presence. The rhythm feels natural, like breathing with the body itself. She lifts again, rolls back, and lets gravity do the rest. Her body responds with a faint warmth across the upper spine. The dull ache begins to fade into something almost pleasant. She keeps moving, slow and mindful, like dancing with time. Outside, a faint breeze brushes the curtains, echoing her rhythm. The world seems to move with her, calm, patient, unhurried. Eleanor realizes how long it's been since she truly felt her body. She had lived in her thoughts for so many years. Now the body and mind seem to meet again, in this simple motion. She thinks of her younger days, lifting boxes, reaching shelves. Back then she moved without thought, without gratitude. Now every small roll feels sacred, like a conversation. Her shoulders speak in whispers, thank you for noticing. She laughs softly at the thought, the sound warm in the still room. The longer she moves, the easier it becomes to breathe deeply. Her neck loosens, her collarbones widen, her posture opens. It feels as though space itself has returned to her body. She takes another breath, rolling forward now, changing direction. The slow motion reminds her of water flowing around stones. There is effort but also grace, strength but also surrender. She lets her eyes close again, following only the rhythm. The world narrows to the sound of her breath and the movement of her shoulders. In this simple act there is healing, quiet, steady, real. Her heart feels light, her back feels alive. The stiffness still lingers, but it no longer defines her. She has learned that even small movements hold great power. A few gentle rolls, a few soft breaths, they build something lasting. Eleanor straightens her spine, her face calm, her body at ease. She whispers to herself, slow is not weak, slow is wise. And as she lowers her arms to her sides, she feels a quiet victory. Not over pain, but over stillness. A small reclaiming of motion, and a rediscovery of peace. Eleanor takes another deep breath and feels her shoulders warm. The slow rolls have softened the tight edges of her back. She feels taller now, lighter somehow, as if gravity has eased its hold. Her body whispers that it's ready for more. She lifts one arm gently, feeling the stretch through her shoulder blade. The motion is slow, deliberate, like reaching through time. She brings her arm across her chest, holding it with her other hand. The pull is gentle, a quiet reminder of movement long forgotten. She breathes in deeply and holds the stretch for a moment. The tightness feels like an old memory returning to be released. She exhales slowly, letting the air carry out years of stillness. Her upper back begins to loosen, the stiffness melting with each breath. She switches arms, bringing the other across her chest. Her fingers rest lightly on her upper arm, no force, no strain. She can feel her body's rhythm in the pulse beneath her skin. It's calm, steady, patient, like the ocean's slow heartbeat. Her eyes stay closed as she listens to the quiet music of her breath. She realizes how peaceful it feels to move without rushing. Every stretch feels like forgiveness, a soft apology to her body. For all the time she ignored its small cries for rest. For all the years she thought stillness was the same as peace. Now she understands, peace lives inside motion too. The stretch deepens slightly as she exhales again. The tension in her shoulders unwinds, thread by thread. There's no pain, only release, a surrender to gentleness. She opens her eyes and looks at her hands. They've worked, lifted, cooked, written, and comforted. Now they are here, helping her rediscover strength in stillness. She lowers her arms and shakes them out softly. The warmth lingers, spreading down to her fingertips. Her breathing grows steady, matching the rhythm of her heart. She lifts both arms above her head slowly, as if greeting the sun. Her chest expands, her ribs open like wings. The stretch travels from her shoulders to her spine, then down her sides. It feels like sunlight filling the space between her bones. She stays there for a breath, then lowers her arms gently. Every motion feels like poetry, slow, quiet, and full of grace. She rolls her wrists, moves her fingers, and smiles at the feeling. Her body is awake, not in the loud way of youth, but in quiet awareness. She has learned to listen, to honor, to move with care. The air feels softer, the morning brighter, her spirit lighter. She whispers, "Thank you," to the space around her. To the air that moves, to the body that remembers. The stiffness has not vanished, but it no longer feels like a wall. It feels like a doorway, one she can now walk through slowly. Eleanor stands tall, shoulders open, heart calm. She breathes once more, and in that breath she feels freedom return. The room feels softer now, filled with warmth and quiet air. Eleanor stands still for a moment, her breath steady and calm. The morning light touches her skin, and she feels alive in every corner. Her shoulders rest easily, no longer held by invisible weight. She clasps her hands gently behind her back, fingers meeting like old friends. The stretch is simple, but it opens something deep within her. Her chest lifts, her chin rises slightly, and her heart feels uncovered. A slow inhale expands her ribs, making space where stiffness once lived. She holds it for a second, then exhales with a quiet sigh. The release feels like peace settling into her bones. She keeps her hands clasped, feeling the connection across her shoulders. The movement is small, but it carries meaning beyond motion. It feels like forgiveness for all the days she forgot to care for herself. For all the years she mistook stillness for strength. Her body answers with softness, with ease, with gratitude. The stretch deepens gently as she leans forward just a little. Her upper back opens, her breath flows through like a breeze through leaves. She feels every muscle waking, greeting the light. It's not effort anymore, it's conversation. The kind of quiet talk between body and spirit that words can't reach. She stays there breathing, listening to the rhythm inside her chest. Each heartbeat feels like a small drum of life, steady and sure. She realizes how much strength has lived here all along. Not in her muscles, but in her patience. Not in her speed, but in her willingness to begin again. She straightens slowly, lifting her gaze toward the window. The sky outside glows pale gold, soft and full of promise. Eleanor lets her arms fall gently to her sides, palms open. She rolls her shoulders once more, just to feel the difference. The stiffness has turned to warmth, the tightness to movement. Every breath now feels like an invitation to live with more grace. She smiles, small and honest, the kind that starts from the heart. Her mind drifts to all the people who might be waking stiff and sore. She wishes they could feel this, the quiet joy of gentle motion. It isn't about stretching farther or faster. It's about listening closer, softer, truer. She whispers into the still air, I'm here, I'm moving, I'm enough. And for the first time in a long while, she believes it fully. The body she once saw as fragile now feels like home again. A home that breathes, bends, and forgives. Eleanor takes one last deep breath, slow and steady. Her chest rises, her shoulders draw back, her heart feels open. As she exhales, the world seems to breathe with her. The sound of a bird outside marks the moment's end. She feels calm, steady, and quietly proud. Not because she conquered stiffness, but because she chose to care. And in that choice she found strength, gentle, lasting, real. The kind that grows not from motion alone, but from love within. The morning has fully arrived, calm and golden. Eleanor sits again by the window, her body lighter than before. The ache in her shoulders has softened into something gentle, familiar. She lifts her cup of tea and smiles at the small effort it takes. Her movements feel easier now, smoother, kinder. Outside, the world moves slowly, just like her breath. She watches the trees sway and feels her own rhythm match theirs. It's strange, she thinks, how a few quiet moments can change a day. Not through power or speed, but through patience. Her body is older, yes, but it still listens, still learns. Every stretch this morning felt like a word of gratitude. A thank you whispered to the years that shaped her. She closes her eyes and breathes one last deep breath. The air feels like a soft song, filling her with warmth. In this stillness, she feels strong, whole, and alive. Not because the stiffness is gone, but because she met it with care. The day ahead feels open now, gentle and kind. Eleanor smiles again, a smile only peace can make. And as the sunlight dances on her skin, she whispers, I'm free.